the land?
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Well, the music for the end of the ride is just on the other side of the curtain there, so that's just kind of where we're standing. But we're currently in our integrated pest management lab. And pest management is a very important part of agriculture. Have to make sure to keep any of those potentially harmful bugs or fungus or viruses or anything like that off of your crops as much as you can. And we do have 4 greenhouses here with about 150 different food crops. So we get occasional pests from time to time. We have several different ways of controlling any that we get. Typically we focus on cultural and mechanical practices, chemical control, and biological control. So as far as the cultural or mechanical side of things, those are more preventative. So we like to grow a lot of our crops on trellises and prune the leaves and sanitize all our tools, anything to prevent them from spreading around to other crops. And then with the chemical control, we will use soft pesticides. So those are horticultural soaps and oils like rosemary oil or mineral oil, neem oil, that type of thing. And then our preferred method is the biological control. So that's what's happening behind me. It's where we're going to use any of those beneficial insects to control the population of the pest. So like ladybugs are a great example of that, or different predatory mites that we can use to eat the harmful mites. We're actually raising our own beneficial right back here. You're welcome to take a closer look into the cases. You might see these tiny little insects flying around in here. They are a parasitoid wasp, and they're helping us control the leaf miner fly population, which is a common pest we get here. So if you look in here, you'll notice they look like a little gnat almost. They're really small, but they have no stinger. They're completely harmless to us. But I'm going to turn on a video and explain the process a little bit more on how we're actually using them.
See them on those leaves? All the tops of them?
So the top shelf there has the leaf miner fly, which is the pest.
See?
You can see a nice zoomed in view of that up on the screen here. So the fly is going to come land on the leaf, and what she does is she lays her egg on the inside tissue of the leaf. So if you kind of picture it like a sandwich, you have those 2 outer layers, all the good stuff's in the center. That's where they're going to lay their eggs, which is going to end up making it really difficult for any other types of pest control to really take care of them. She's going to lay about 200 eggs in total, but only 1 at a time. So she can really spread these around to a lot of different leaves. And as you can see here, this is the leaf miner larva. So when it's in its larva stage is when it's actually doing that damage to the plant. You'll see its mouth looks like a little pickaxe. It is essentially just mining these little tunnels all throughout the leaf tissue. Initially, it's not too harmful, but it can progress pretty quick. You'll see an 8K time lapse here. So it really only takes them a little over a week to eat through that entire leaf. From there, that leaf is going to start to dry up and fall off oftentimes. It's more difficult for that plant to properly photosynthesize. Not great. So that is where our beneficial comes in. This is our parasitoid wasp. So she's going to come through and she's using her antenna to feel for any vibrations inside of that leaf tissue. That's going to help her to locate exactly where the leaf miner larva is. Now, once she locates that larva, she will then use her ovipositor, which is her egg-laying organ. She's going to lay her little wasp egg directly into the leaf miner larva. She'll mark the area with her pheromones to let the other wasps know that one's good. Eventually, this larva starts to come out of the leaf here. That's when we move our plants from the cases here to this funnel system so that we can collect that larva as it falls. Typically, this is when it would become the fly. However, that wasp egg is hatching. As it hatches, it eats the larva. So instead of us getting a fly, ta-da! We got a cute little wasp. Save the day. Isn't that so fun? Yeah, it is. Science rules. Woo! Do we have any questions about any of that? I'm going to come around and hand everybody some listening devices, because as we are on the tour today, we will do a lot of walking and talking. So this is going to allow you to actually hear me. So you'll just kind of unravel the earpiece from there. It hooks over the top of your ear. There you are. And then to turn on your listening device, there's a power button right on top. You'll just hold that down until the screen turns on.
Thank you.
For you. Once you can hear me, you know. Let's see, pull the boards just a little bit. That's fine. Thank you. As long as it can hook over the top of your ear, usually it'll stay.
Does that look right?
I think so.
Can't hear me in there? Try to twist the little jack that's about halfway up on your earpiece. That's if you twist that around. That good? Yeah. Thank you. Could you hear me in there? Yeah. Good there. Here. Just hear me? You need the magic touch. And then it should take just a second, and then hopefully you should hear me. Okay, you guys are all good. Check. Back there. Three back here. Working now? Okay. So I am going to carry an extra one with me, so if you're stopped working at any point, please let me know, and I'll get you my backup one. But your lanyard you're wearing is a pouch, so you can tuck your listening device in there if you don't want to hold it the whole time. Makes it a little bit easier. But now we're going to head out. We're going to say goodbye to these little bugs for now. And we're going to keep going. Right. As we exit our pest management lab, you'll see this tunnel on your right-hand side. So that is where the boat goes through, which leads right into the alley. We go in the opposite direction around your Make our way down to the biotechnology lab next. And this is a real operating lab. We are co-sponsored here by the USDA, which is the United States Department of Agriculture. And we work with them on a lot of different research projects here. As we round the corner, there's a slight step. So just watch your step there, and then feel free to take a look inside of our windows. So a lot of that research work that takes place in our lab is finding ways to grow crops to be more productive or resistant to different types of pests, or to grow in all sorts of different climates, that type of thing, all while minimizing our environmental impact. But what you're seeing from this portion is the tissue culturing of our McGee's mini gardens. So I don't know if you got a chance to check these out when you were checking in at the front desk. We have these little plants in the jars. So these are all tissue cultures, which is basically when you take a cutting of a plant, you're propagating it, you regrow the plant from that. Same concept, just on a really small scale and done in a sterile lab. But they're splicing the parent plant into smaller pieces and regrowing the plant from those little pieces. Super cool that plants can do that. Any cell of the plant is able to regenerate itself if given the right conditions, which is very cool. Brad in there. Brad. There we go. Do we have any questions about our biotech lab? Or about Brad? Okay, let's head this way then. We're going to make our way into our first greenhouse, which is the created greenhouse. And just a reminder, while we are in here today, not to touch any of the plants. Just be sure to stay together with the group, don't wander off. You're going to feel an air curtain as we enter into Willis
The fish provide a natural source of fertilizer for the plants, and the plants help keep the water clean for the fish. It's
All right, as you're looking around, you can see lots of different systems in here. There's a lot of different ways that we're growing crops, but everything that we are growing is grown through hydroponics. So hydroponics, if you break the word down, essentially means to grow with water. So what we do is we add all the nutrients the plants need. We mix that right into the water, then into what we call a nutrient solution. You'll hear me say that so many times throughout the course today. Think of it like all the vitamins, minerals, plant needs.
Those are on that
So
pole.
we'll highlight a couple different
On that
systems,
pipe.
like our aeroponics, for example. We are currently growing our Brussels sprouts on this system right now. You can see these roots are fully exposed. There's no medium around the roots whatsoever. But as it's rotating, there are some misters in that trough that'll spray that nutrient solution directly onto the roots. The plants are still receiving the support they need from this metal rod and these Velcro strips, and then obviously plenty of light and plenty of air. So the air still being provided to provide maintenance that they need. I will say this specific design is purely for the ride. It looks really cool and exciting. That's the biggest thing. But aeroponics in general, the concept of having the roots exposed with no media, is great for pest control. There's no medium for insects later. So that's our aeroponic system. We also have a lot of vertical systems, like the column pots here. Right on the other side, we have the
that
crop
saves
system,
water
which
and
has a
increases
lot of
production.
ways
The
that are on top of
aquaponic
each
system
other.
under that
So these are all great ways of utilizing
the
that
fish
vertical
provide a
space.
natural source of
That
fertilizer
will
for
allow
the
you to grow a
plants.
lot more crops.
Help keep the water clean for the fish. It's another great
Another
way
major
to
benefit of
produce more
hydroponics, the
while
amount of
keeping
space,
less.
the amount of resources that you end up
In
saving
our
over
lab,
time.
EPCOT scientists are working with
It's kind of a general introduction so far. I'll go more into depth on a lot of that, but do we have any questions about any of that? Yeah.
I do hydroponics right now,
Okay.
and a lot of the time when the plant gets a little too big, it starts to move over and it's not the dirt.
Yeah, it depends on the crop that you're growing. So we have to find different ways of supporting the plants. So for example, like the Brussels sprouts have this rod. You'll see like throughout the video different stakes so that will keep them upright.
plants grow in this way use a fraction of the space
It kind of
required by
responds to
traditional
the crop.
farming.
What do you like to
That
grow?
saves water and increases
I've done a few things.
Hit that on my ear with a finger.
Yeah.
When you're growing it, you have
fertilizer for the plants. And the
They're not
plants
the same,
help keep
so
the
you
water
can't
clean
really
for
put
the fish. It's another great
I'll show
way
you in the next
to
greenhouse. We'll also use strings and stuff too, to kind of like tie them around the vines, which I'll show you our new tomatoes.
Combines hydroponics with aquaculture. The fish provide a natural
Any other
source of
questions so far?
fertilizer for the plants, and the plants help keep the water
I'll
clean
show you
for
a
the
very
fish.
special plant.
It's
His name's
another
Stanley.
great way to produce
It's
more
right in
while
here.
keeping less.
Stanley is what we call our
In our lab, EPCOT scientists are working
all in that. Gather around Stanley here. So this is called a sensitive plant. It's the most common name for it. It has a lot of different names. But a sensitive plant, the
See that?
scientific
Close.
name is a Mimosa indica.
We'll let you touch it in a second,
This
okay?
specific variety is not native here to Florida. They're actually from Central America. They are quite unique. We do have some native varieties. This one specifically, not native.
Touch the leaves.
He's basically a weed.
Oh,
We
you
have
see
him
it?
here because it's
He's
just kind of
ticklish.
a unique adaptation that plants can have. It's just defensive purposes for him. He's not carnivorous or anything like that. It's a way for it to protect itself from any predators that might want to eat the leaves. Typically, they only stay closed about 10 minutes or so. So cool. It's fun. It's also cool when it rains because the raindrops will trigger all those leaves to close, which is going to allow the water a straight shot right to the roots. Typically, they're really full and bushy. And so it absorbs as much water as necessary.
Took one food chicken.
These ones have perlite in them. Yeah. Yeah, so we're actually about to talk about those right now. So these systems, the vertigrows, they are recycled expanded polystyrene from a strawberry farmer here in Florida who designed those systems. You can use really any type of medium you want in those. We are mostly just using perlite. Sometimes we put some coconut core in there as well, but when we use the perlite, it's easier to clean up the excess. But let me talk a little bit more about all this. So, we don't use soil. Soil provides nutrients and it provides support to plants. We are providing those through other methods. So, the main three types of growing media we use are perlite, as I mentioned. We have rock wool and coconut wool. So, the rock wool is actually a type of volcanic rock. It's processed at a very high temperature. I kind of picture a hot pan spinning. Similar to this, very, very hot, nice and lightweight, kind of spongy, so it's great for absorbing a lot of water, but it also has all these teeny tiny gaps so that we can grow and expand around. So everything we start from seed started in a rock wool cube in our support greenhouse out back. We use quite a bit of that. The coconut core is the husk of the coconut. It's also great for absorbing a lot of water and providing support by that blocks. And then the perlite, as I mentioned, we have it in some of these systems, but usually we'll mix it into our coconut core. It's another form of volcanic rock. It's just processed a little different, and it's going to allow some airflow to get to the roots when we mix it into the coconut core. It's typically a combination of those things.
How do you clean the perlite?
Oh, we don't clean the perlite. We clean the system, the expanded polystyrene system. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I have a question for all of They have a sheer crop here. They make up about 30% of our total harvest. The variety is called Davida that we're growing here. It's a thin-skinned and a seedless variety. They are delicious.
Huh.
Garden Grill restaurant here at the Land Pavilion. Yeah. They get quite a bit of our produce. You are. Also over at Animal Kingdom, the Tiffin's restaurant and Nomad Lounge, they also get quite a bit of our produce. Specifically our lettuce, cucumbers, and tomatoes, which are our top crops, but we'll send other produce as we have it too. And then the festival booths and different events around EPCOT. So it kind of changes.
You good?
Cucumbers, lettuce, and tomatoes we grow year round.
Sweet.
All the time.
How'd it taste?
Good. Sweet.
The future of agriculture may have created ideas like this vertical growing system. Plants grow in this way, so it maximum space required by traditional
Davida.
growing.
Yeah, we'll walk by the sign.
The aquaponic system
You want more?
Want another? Say thank you.
Bonuses. You want celebrating a birthday?
provide a natural source of fertilizer for the plants.
Were you celebrating an anniversary? Did I mention that? Sure, we're going to pretend you are. We were just talking about your wedding.
Good.
Birthday? You want? Birthday? Oh, cool. Birthday? Yeah. Close. Good catch. Okay, everyone. You might have been wondering about all these bins here. These are because we are a certified zero waste facility here at the land, which means over 99% of our total waste is diverted from landfills. So it's recycled in a lot of different ways. So our soft plastics, I put the gloves and plastic bag, and not with the soft part on it. That we call the soft plastic recycling. And then I have my toothpick in. Those are your toothpicks there, so that I can reuse them on my next chore. Yeah, exactly. I make sure Perfect. All right. How are we feeling? Are we nice and satiated? What's the difference between the harvest gloves? The harvest gloves have to go to landfill. The glove bag. All right. Any other questions? Let's head into the production region. So, this is where we do the majority of the harvesting. Our lettuce, our cucumbers, and our tomatoes are all grown in here. Now, everything we are growing, as I mentioned earlier, is with that nutrient solution. So if you're wondering what the nutrient solution consists of, it's right over here on the wall. It says nutrient tank ingredients. So it's in these two tanks. Every so often you'll hear like a popping sound. That's going to be the nutrients getting mixed into the water, going out to feed all the crops. So with that nutrient solution, that's what allows us to grow the crops about 2 to 3 times faster than average. So faster growth, higher yields, benefit hydroponics. Okay, here's the tomatoes I was talking a little bit about earlier. The variety is called the Felicity variety. So they're like a cherry tomato, and they're an indeterminate variety, which just means they are going to continue to vine. So as they're vining, we wrap them around these strings that we're hanging from the top for some support. And you'll notice there's a little spoolie up there. We'll just lower that down and shift them over, which is going to start to kind of train them to grow in this racetrack shape for your seed. So that's going to help us keep them all nice and organized. It makes it really easy for us to harvest them that way. Usually we get about 10 months worth of growth off of our tomatoes. This is called the lean and lower technique. Also, side note, you might have noticed we're starting to set up all these lights for the holidays. It takes us 6 weeks to decorate for our holiday overlay. Usually we turn the lights on right after Thanksgiving. So I actually did all these. So there you go. They gave me the tall task. Alright, let's head down this way. We have our microfruit trays. These are being used for garnish. We'll send the whole tray over to a restaurant. We'll just trim off the tops. They're doing cilantro, sunflower, and beef scraps on the bottom. have a whole.
They got a mold thing right there. Makes them make them shake. Yeah, take it all out.
Has the second most amount of nicotine first like tobacco plants.
Really? Is it like in the eggplant itself or just
I
the leaves?
don't know. I think that eggplants actually I think that was really interesting.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, interesting.
Everything in the eggplants. Fun fact. Welcome into our temperate greenhouse. You might have noticed sand. A lot of people say, hey, why do you grow in sand? I will say the main reason that we are growing in sand is because we have a lovely boat ride coming through and it looks very exciting. That's the biggest thing. We want things to look cool. Ultimately, it's a wow factor. But it's also just a great way to showcase different ways of growing crops that we might not always think about. There are parts of the world that might have to grow in more sandy, or more arid, or more dry regions. For showing, you can still grow crops this way as long as you're still able to provide those nutrients, right? So ours is still being watered with our nutrient solution, which is why it is still considered hydroponics, getting the nutrients from the water, not from the medium. And that's all coming through this irrigation system right here. Basic drip tape drip irrigation. So we have rows of this drip tape underneath all of our rows of crops out here. And it's all pressurized nutrient solution coming through, which allows these emitters to give equal amounts of that nutrient solution right to the roots. They're all on timers, they're metered out to exactly what each crop needs. So that's going to help us save tons and tons of water that way. So it's called precision agriculture. Now we do have a couple crops in here, like the pumpkins behind me. They're in coconut core perlite mixture, but everything else is just in the sand, and it's between 2 and 4 feet worth of sand in it. So it does go down pretty far. So this variety is a Duchess variety. I'm actually not sure what these ones end up looking like. I don't know if I've seen growing before, but we have this one, and there's one other growing over there. I think they might have had another one pollinated, but this is one of our crops that we do have to hand pollinate. I don't know if any of you are wondering about how we're pollinating things in here. We don't have bees or butterflies. Some of our smaller insects are great pollinators too, but mainly we're focusing on self-pollinating crops. We can take a leaf blower to them or shake them around a little bit. That can pollinate the flowers. But then there are a couple like this one where the male and female flowers are separate, so you have to collect the pollen from the male flowers to bring it to the female flowers. So that's what we do with most of our squash, melons, pumpkins. It's kind of fun. Do you have any questions there?
So why wouldn't you? Too hard to keep the bees?
Yeah, it's mainly the reason we don't have the bees in here is because of the boat ride. Safety things, and also that boat ends up rebuilding.
While more efficiently using resources like water,
Building. Also,
another
hives,
innovation at
using,
work
depends on the types of bees we're working with. So they're not super common in greenhouses. And then the butterflies have caterpillars. So the male, yes, yeah, those are all 3 male flowers. So they have, well, let me double check. Oh, never mind, the one that's open is the female. But it's hard to tell from your angle because the female has, no, I can't see that. I think it's female. The female has a little mini fruit at the base of it, so it almost looks like a tiny pumpkin. So imagine my hand's a flower, a little baby pumpkin right at the base of it. The male is just a stem. We'll probably be able to see it better on our other crop down there, the winter melon. But this one's been getting the miniature version.
Is it full of the seeds? Is it like those that the seeds are
Yes. Yeah. And then the male produces the pollen. Yes. Any other questions?
What is that fruit straight up?
It's a 9-pound lemon.
What? Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Whoa.
They're actually larger than 9 pounds.
Oh.
I think we harvested a 16-pound one last time. So these two trees, it's their first year fruiting. They just reached maturity. I think they're like 7 years old. But we've grown them in the past. I hear they taste just like a regular lemon. We make like a gallon of lemonade from one lemon.
Wow.
Fun. Let's continue our journey down this way. All set up, I already did Little Miss Piggy variety.
Are definitely on the way up. Innovative growing techniques like these increase yield, while more efficient like water, fertilizer, and pesticides. Another innovation that
Well, I'll talk about it just a little bit. Talk about coffee is a labor-intensive crop. There's a lot of work involved in the harvesting of it because the coffee cherries can take about 9 months to ripen. The time that flower is pollinated to the time of harvest. About 9 months, and they're all at different stages in that process. So you can harvest the coffee cherries one by one. Each coffee cherry only contains 2 coffee beans inside. You need about 80 beans for a single cup of coffee. So someone's plucking 40 of those for a single cup of coffee. So a lot of work. Also means you need a lot of them for it to be a productive coffee farm. Results in a lot of land clearing, a lot of deforestation. It's not always the most sustainable option. So if you like drink a lot of coffee, I encourage you to do a little research into your favorite companies. Try to get the coffee from their shade-grown coffee farms or bird-friendly certification they can receive. It just means that coffee is grown under the canopy of those native trees. It still grows very productively in the shade, and you end up getting better quality, and it's less trees getting chopped down. So win-win-win-win. There you go. I can talk about coffee.
Yeah.
On average, we harvest them around 50 to 60 pounds. Our largest we harvested from here was 92 pounds. I'm gone for 2 days, but I come back again. But usually, so we usually pluck the male flower off, pollinate it, and just tap the flowers together. And then we can do a little. Have you ever tried winter melon before? That's what it tastes like. Pretty much just water. But it's popular in Chinese cuisine. They'll add it into soup. It'll absorb those flavors really nicely. So it's kind of adds to it. We like to send it over for elephants. Yeah.
What is this?
Behind the coffee?
Yeah.
That's Lagos spinach.
The flower is pretty.
here to get the full size. Harvested by 6 months of cooling. And we also have a very aggressive ratio of nearly 1:1, meaning if I were to give the tilapia a pound of food, I can end up getting about a pound of meat. So, very impressive compared to any other animal agriculture. Like cattle farming, typically you feed cattle about 8 to 10 pounds before you get a single pound. A lot less resources required for tilapia than any questions about aquaculture?
We use tilapia because they're very dirty and eat everything.
We do not use tilapia because they're very dirty. We use tilapia because they are very hardy, so they are not prone to parasites or anything like that. We're not feeding them anything like, so tilapia have a bad reputation because they are bottom feeders. They eat poop, they eat anything on the, they eat that gross stuff. So a lot of times aquaculture, they will use the tilapia to clean up after their other fish. We do not do that. We give them good quality food, and we give them the same food that we give our bass. So that's going to completely change their flavor. So a lot of people think tilapia tastes bad, but that's usually because they're getting fed poor diets. So we give them good food, and they're also just used because they grow so fast.
You use their waste.
We do not use their waste.
No, I thought that's what it said.
We do for our one and only system. In the creative greenhouse, the first one we walked through, I don't know if you saw that tilapia tank on the other side. That system uses the water from the fish for those plants. But all of this water does just get filtered out. Yeah. We just find faster growth with our nutrient solution rather than the water from the fish.
That's what my question was. You have one tank, a mixture of hydroponics.
Yeah, the integrated aquaculture.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with the integrated aquaculture, sometimes you find we still have to supplement a lot of nutrients because they're not getting everything from the water from the fish, whereas our nutrient solution we make has a collection of everything they need. But some crops will grow really well that way. It's just not great for all of the crops. But it does have its benefits too. Great questions. Any other questions?
So you started with the tilapia water with the first small,
Only that specific system.
but it's in the smaller plants and then it
Yeah,
gets bigger.
usually just grow like some flowers, like marigolds or something painful on that system. But no systems that, or no plants that get really big. I don't know what they have on there right now. Usually flowers. Great questions, everyone.
When you mention farming, you probably don't think of food. But if you
I have a question about bananas. I heard that they're all cloned at this point right now. Have you heard about anything about cloning in bananas?
So bananas are completely different now than they were. Like the original bananas, full
Right.
of seeds,
Right.
completely different. So they've gone through some different like genetic modifications.
Right.
But I don't know about cloning per se. I guess like tissue culture is technically cloning. So
Okay.
ours are probably all tissue culture originally.
Okay.
But I don't know if like all bananas are.
Without
Off the top of my
seeds.
head.
So it's without seeds that, and that's what we mainly have. Okay. Because it's done by tissue.
Yes.
Got it. It clarifies the word.
It does, yeah, it does.
Thank you.
Right. I was kind of.
Yeah.
All right, if you guys want to come in a little bit closer, you can. I'm going to pass around some spices now. You know the most expensive spice in the world? Saffron. Let's pass
bit more. A little more.
Well, sometimes when I say more, they're like, a million. Oh, okay. So, yeah. But when I have little kids, I guess they're like, 10.
Yes. Yeah.
So what are the attributes, or what do you for saffron?
What do you use it for?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly used for rice dishes. It's added to rice a lot, or like saffron rice. Primarily for paella, popular Spanish dish, a lot of Mediterranean food, and a lot of Indian food. So it's mainly added to rice, but you can make it with
Is it spicy?
You know, I wouldn't know how to describe it. Anyone know how to describe saffron? I wouldn't say spicy.
Okay.
I really have no idea. I think I've tried it maybe once. Because if it was, imagine this was perfectly fresh.
I'll stand up.
So usually when you cook with it, you like, it's pretty strong. So a little bit goes a long way, but yeah. It is fresh. Okay, vanilla is our second most expensive spice. Very popular.
She can't see.
Vanilla is a
She's got to
variety
stand
of
up.
orchid.
No, but I want to sit.
Like we just walked by, I'll point it out. Okay. But vanilla is originally native to Mexico. So that's where it's first from. There is a tiny little bee that lives in Mexico that is able to pollinate the flower. However, this flower only blooms for about 6 hours total, very early in the morning. So that little bee would have to be pollinating. It's hard to grow it on a commercial scale and rely on pollinating like that. So it is hand pollinated with a little toothpick. Super early in the morning, it's a very tedious task. So that's why it's so expensive, because of the amount of work involved. And most vanilla is actually not even grown in Mexico. Where it's not cultivated until later
Star.
There you go. I have 40 spices in here. But one more I'll just show you. Black pepper. Peppercorns. It's not one of the most expensive spices, but it is very popular. It grows on a vine, native to India. Black pepper plant is a spice garden. It's kind of funny, but a couple weeks ago we came in and these are oldest plants, they're 23 years old. They'll grow back. Still healthy. But anyway, I do have a lovely photo opportunity as well. If anyone would like to take your picture. Yeah, you see we're closest. Go first.
You want to take her picture? No, she's going to take her picture.
Da-da-da-da-da. There we go. I love your dress, by the way. There you go. What's your favorite snack?
No? Your favorite snack?
I like Dole Whip.
She does like Dole Whip.
She likes the cookies. Yeah? You like a cookie bar?
Yeah.
Like a pretzel? Like a churro?
I don't think you've had a churro.
walk. We'll get you placed on the phone.
One day, economic problems may take
We'll show you our vanilla. Very large, fine. That's here. This is vanilla. So she's about 19 or 20 years old now. These are all the big ones. It's the younger one. Once you get to the border before heading into Aqua Cell, if you look straight across, you can see some of our cacao trees over there. You can see them on the front. That's where chocolate comes from. That's great. Behind our pomegranate trees here, when you look behind them, you'll see some peppers. Got some red ones on there right now. Those are our Carolina Reapers. There's Carolina Reapers are formerly the hottest pepper on the market. Now they're considered the second hottest. They're right behind the Pepper X, which is silly, but wonderful. But it's the same guy that created the Reapers. But our Carolina Reapers are being used for Food and Wine Festival currently over at the Odyssey Pavilion. I don't know if you've been where they have the hot wings, the brewing lab. I will say, I heard they're really hot, but it's still nowhere near as hot as they actually are if they weren't significantly bending.
Root system you got here. If you keep cutting them off, do they get higher? Is that how it works?
With which ones?
So I
Oh.
Yeah. You see, it looks chopped
Like,
off. So
yeah. So by pruning them, it does encourage more of that vertical growth, or it encourages them to produce like another shoot on the other side. Depends on the variety, though. Not all of them. But definitely helping it with it. Fun fact about a tomato tree here. We hold the world record for the most amount of fruit harvested off a single plant. Using our tomato tree system. We got 32,000 tomatoes. I think that was like in a 10-month time frame, maybe a year. Now right in here, there's a QR code you can scan if you'd like to learn more about hydroponics or starting your own edible garden. It's got lots of good tips and tricks for you, about 22 pages worth of resources. So you're welcome to scan that. It's got levels, beginner,
That is
intermediate,
scanning it.
advanced. Walk by family, you say the Bible.
Touch the thing again. Tickle, tickle, tickle.
Fun, right? And that first tree is you see on your right side is the cinnamon tree. So it comes from the bark. So you have to peel the outside layer of the bark and then it really
Yeah.
What was your favorite part?
Everything.
Everything? Stanley?
You like Stanley?
Yeah.
And spices. So that's about
Don't forget the coffee.
And I like to talk about the coffee. You're right, how could I?